At this stage, I believe that we can design any type of layout in Divi 5. Now, this was not the case a few months ago. So I'm really excited to show you a quick example here of how we can use different elements of Divi 5 to come up with something that is so unique. So in this example, we have a blurb and then we have a star rating and buttons that are side by side. So let's go ahead and go through this process. But before we do that, if you want to master how to use Divi 5, I have a course called Divi 5 Mastery. Now, this course has 44 lessons. There's quite a lot here for you to learn from, saving you hours going on to YouTube, finding out how Divi 5 works. Everything is in one place. And by the time Divi 5 is out of beta, you are going to be miles ahead because you're going to know exactly how the Divi 5 page builder actually works. And as I add new modules, you will not be paying any extra. And by the way, this course is only $27. $27 with all this information. Now, what I'm also adding to this is that $27 will stay the same even if I add more modules onto this course, which of course I will. And I know there's a lot of areas that can be covered and still to come. So you're not going to be paying any extra. Once you pay $27, that covers you pretty much for this complete course, and it's going to increase in price, by the way. So lock yourself in. It's only $27, and all these are the lessons that you're going to get from Divi 5. Anyway, let's go ahead now and build this layout. Okay, so what we're going to start off by doing here is we're going to just delete everything here so we can start from scratch. All right, so we're going to go ahead now and add 2 columns. The reason why I'm adding 2 columns is so that at least it's easier for me to see where I'm working. So the first thing I'm going to do here is to start off with a group, and you will see in a moment why starting off with a group is very important. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. Now, another trick that I use is as I'm designing, if I want to see where I am while I'm designing, usually I just go into this actual group and then I just add a background color to it. So for example, in this case here, let's just add this very light background, so at least I can see where I am. And also because of the design I'm doing, I also need to add some padding. So I'm going to come over here to design, and then I'm going to go to spacing and just give this a padding of 2 rem. Okay, now it doesn't matter what size you want to put depending on your design, but in my case here, I'm just going to use 2 rem. Okay, so now that I have this all set, it's time now for me to start adding all my elements. So the first thing I'm going to add here is a blurb. So I'm going to select it here, and I might as well add my image here because I'm going to need an image for this design. So I'm going to come over here, select my image here, and the image I'm going to go with is this one. Okay, next I'm going to say upload image, and now we have a blurb. I mean, this is how Divi used to be, and nothing really much has changed. But what we're going to do now is we're going to do nested modules. Okay, so we're going to come over here, click on this plus button, or I can just click here on this module, and then I'm going to come over here and go to elements, and then I'm going to say add element. So here is where I'm going to add another group. Now, why are we adding another group? It's because I'm going to be adding the stars that I need, the 5-star rating. That's what I'm going to add. So now that I've added a group, we need to add an icon in here. So I'm going to click on this plus button and search for my icon like that. So this icon here needs to be a star. So I'm going to search for my star, and here it is. And now we need to adjust the size. So I'm going to go to layout, icon, and then I'm going to set this to 2 rem. There we go. So we can even make it slightly smaller. Let's say 1.8. Oops, 1.8. Okay, so I think I'm going to go with that. So now that we have this, I need now to duplicate it a few times. Okay, so I've duplicated 4 times. So this is where now the Flexbox feature comes in. So making sure that we've selected the group, now we can go to layout and then change our direction. And now you can see everything looks great. So now everything is going in rows. So now that we have this, we can either add another group by just clicking on this plus button, group, right? And then in this group, we want to add 2 buttons. So I'm going to search for my button like that, and we're going to duplicate this button by the way. Now, why have we added this group? Now, this group is very powerful because it allows us to control what's inside it. Right? We can't do this with rows. We can't do this with columns. It's easier if we have this group. So if I select this group now, like that, again, I'm going to go to Design, Layout, and then I can change the row direction. Look at that. So everything that we have here is inside this group. So even if we duplicate this group, all we need is to just drag the group and bring it over here, just like that. So we're dragging the group itself. You can even name it if you want. So we've designed this, and our starting point was the group. So if you want to save this to the library, you save it as a group. And that is very, very important. So this is a very, very powerful way of designing. Now, you can go ahead now and start tweaking this even further. So for example, let's say you want to work on the button. I can come over here, go to design. Oh, in fact, we are in design already. We can now go to button, use custom styles for button, and then we can go to our button background. So this is where you can either use colors that are already in your global colors, or you can start selecting all your colors. So for example, I've got that. Now, what I usually do when I'm creating buttons is I go to the button border as well, and I change the color for the button border. So for example here, I don't know why it says button border white, but there we go. I've just updated that. So the text itself can also change, the button text. So let's head over here, and we can set this to right now. Let's go a lighter. Yes, I think a lighter color here works even better. So the only thing that we need to do is to go in and change the text. And then I'm going to say download. And for the other one, this could be buy now. So let's go into it like that. And then here, I'm going to say buy now like that. Now, do you see how quickly we have designed this, and now it looks way much better? And in terms of the colors, I would highly recommend you go with the colors that are on your color palette. So once we're happy with that, I can just hit save. And as I mentioned before, you can save this to the library. You can click on these 3 little dots here and save this to library by coming over here. Or if you have Divi Cloud, you can head over now to Divi Cloud and save it, because chances are you might be using this on other future designs. Now, the cool thing about this as well is if you want to use it for other designs, you can pretty much go into your module settings after importing it, and then you would go to image and icon, and you can just change the icon over here. So let's say this is an example of a car. There we go. So you can see that has now changed. If you want to reverse this, guess where you go? You want to go into the group settings, because this is where we've set our background. So we're going to come over here to background and then change this to, let's say, a color that matches this design. So we can go with something like that, or even, you know, a slight gray, depending on your color palettes and the colors you're choosing to design. So you can see just by changing this image, we've changed the look of this blurb, but we've taken this from a normal blurb into something that is not custom in the Divi builder itself. Anyway, if you haven't purchased Divi, please purchase it using my link in the video description below, and take a look at also my other videos that I have, which are all to do with Divi 5. If you want to master Divi, don't forget to buy the course as well. Buying that course also supports me. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.